I moved to Nicaragua like the next week. Got these two clients. One was a web design agency, and the other was like a string of acupuncture companies or something like that. Oh no, it was a meditation startup, something like that. I remember. But so I moved to Nicaragua, and so I know my income is now $3,000 a month. Nicaragua, you don't even need $1,000 a month, so I don't need to worry about money at all, and I can just hustle and focus on the work. And for 6 months, I literally crushed it for these companies. Like the web design agency had more leads than they could even stand, and they had to like hire a bunch of people. The other app, they ended up I just was supposed to get them to a point where they could go raise some money. They raised like $2 million, and then they hired a full-time marketer, and they were like, cool, thanks.
All right, we are recording. Today I have on Andrew Lee Miller. He's a startup growth expert that has helped 3 companies exit and a whole handful of other companies grow beyond their wildest dreams. So Andrew, thank you for coming on today.
Twin. Look, we're twinning today, man.
We're twinning.
You just got slightly more buff neck than me. If I go like this, maybe we're twins. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, just sit like, that'll pop the neck out.
No,
but man, I really appreciate you coming on.
No, not a problem. I love to give back. And I mean, the number one question I get up with is like, how do I do what you're doing? And so anytime I want to get these videos so I can just shoot people a link and I don't have to custom write a message every time. So you're helping me actually.
Definitely. And I thought you were unique because, Andrew has this whole slew of companies, including a lot of impressive high growth startups he's worked with, but he hasn't been hanging out, in the Bay Area or New York his whole life. He's actually been living the dream life, traveling around the world while working with some of these really high profile companies. So that's why I want to have him on. And, I just, want to get into a little bit about how you made that happen for yourself.
So the first step is just fucking going. Can I cuss on this? I forgot.
Yeah, no, definitely. For sure.
So you really, like the saying that risk equals reward is totally true. So I got an international business degree, like 2007, and the week after I walked the thing and took the piece of paper, I dipped. I moved to Mexico with a bag of clothes. I had no job lined up. I just had a piece of paper with an address of a place I could crash for free for a couple months. And I had a startup in college that had a video resume service, and mine was like the demo reel video resume. It was really awesome. And I basically just put that on Craigslist in the city in Mexico I moved to. And opportunities started coming up, and I knew I already liked marketing a lot. I was a natural like speaker or whatever, but digital marketing wasn't even a thing. And so I didn't know what my niche was going to be or anything. And I really was just totally open to opportunity. And I knew that I could like back up a lot of bullshit with hard work. And so I was confident, took the risk, moved down there, ended up working with a tourism company for a while that was like operating like a startup. So they had budgets and funding was internal. And so built that up, did really well, and got really bored really quickly, and put my video resume back on Craigslist again all over the world. I was like, where do I want to live? Like Dubai, Amsterdam, Tel Aviv, whatever. I threw it up all over. Excuse me, got opportunities again. The video resume was part of it, but also I'm a natural born marketer, very good at faking it till I make it, which is really important in startups. It's not lying. It's not even bending the truth. It's just saying statements that I know I can back up. I may not actually be at that point, but I know I can back it up if the opportunity arises. And so I got an opportunity to move to Dubai and start. I got a bunch of offers, like Bali, Indonesia. A hotel in Bali was like, hey, we'll give you a free room in the hotel to come and work with us for a couple of months. And I was 23, no experience. It's just all, again, natural marketing and really like, this is what I can do, and this is the value I can create, and I knew I could back it up. So I moved to Dubai with a bag of clothes, a little bit more savings than I had when I went to Mexico, but again, just knew I had an opportunity, and built this online marketing and web design agency in 2008 with this guy out there, and we were selling SEO and PPC in 2008, so 10 years ago. I mean, like SEO was super brand new. We were going to like real estate companies that were doing $100,000 advertisements in the paper and be like, yo, you can give us $5,000 a month and you'll get traffic from Google. And they were like, what? Why? And it was even 2008, people in the States knew what was up and it was starting. It's even more behind out there than it is now here. So did that for a while and got a startup as a client that was like a Craigslist copy. They had, before OfferUp and Let Go, they had a profile functionality. And it was like one of the first classified sites in the world that you had a profile to help with that problem of anonymity and like buying from a stranger, whatever. And I really loved the product. It was working well in Dubai, but I did their SEO and their PPC and then convinced them to bring me on as full time. And I left the agency. I was like, I believe in this project. This is really it's changing people's lives. We're getting these emails from users that it's helping. I mean, it was the biggest job website, the biggest car buying and selling website, and apartment and housing thing. And so I obviously recognized the potential for search there because that's like, 3 really strong categories. And so convinced them to hire me on, even though they wanted a native Arabic speaker. And I just fucking hustled my ass off for a year straight, like 7 days a week. Like it was one day I'm building out big PPC campaigns. The next day I'm like speaking to a church about, and they have churches in the Middle East, about like how they should tell all their new members that move out to use this website for everything. We're making packets for new apartment buildings to give, like doing everything. Like we built a scraper that scraped other classifieds websites. I got all the mobile numbers and then I texted them from my phone. Like, hey, I saw your car for sale. You should try this. Like we were really, really, really grinding. Like before the term growth hacking, we were calling
you're like the growth hacker before.
Aggressive online marketing. That's what we called it. Like, aggressive, like, like really being able to test things that might even get us in trouble later. Like the most successful startups are reactionary. Like you don't want to be unscrupulous or amoral, but you want to test things without a risk of, without a worry of like, what are we going to get sued or whatever. If you get a cease and desist letter as a startup, you're doing something right. Right? If a big brand comes in and is like, yo, you need to stop, you're scaring them. And that means you're moving in the right direction. And that's what we were doing. We put like every competitor out of business. And in a year we scaled in 23 cities, 3 different languages, and like 10 countries, and got acquired really fast by OLX, the second biggest classified site in the world behind Craigslist. And so at that point, I'm like, oh, this is where it's at. I took like a year off after that and I did like the trekking in the Himalayas, and there wasn't good mobile service in Nepal at that point like there is now. And so really anywhere. So like I was pretty much offline for a while. Like, what do I want to do? I don't really know. And then I was back home in Ohio where I'm originally from, and I heard about Groupon, and I was like, yo, I need to take this to the Middle East. This is going to blow up. And because I was already thinking like the way forward is like doing the Steve Jobs thing, like geniuses copy, or smart people innovate, geniuses copy, or whatever. So I was like, let's copy what's getting big. And then by the time they get out to the Middle East, we'll just get acquired. And but I've never really been much of a founder. I really just am tunnel vision on the growth and the marketing, and don't really love like fundraising and partnerships and long-term vision for branding and whatever. And so got in touch with Groupon. They were super small at the time. So I literally just like went to Chicago and like went up to their office. It's 2 or 3 or 5 hour drive from Ohio, but and they were like, no, we don't care about the Middle East, but here's a beer. Thanks for coming by, whatever. And so I posted on forums back in Dubai and found 2 guys that were interested, and they had already like made a website and were copying it, but they weren't doing anything. They got some money, and I took over their marketing, and it was just strictly PPC. So it went from being this like community focused marketing job to where it was like everything, your growth hacking, like community events. That previous classifieds thing, I had partnered with Rihanna and the UFC and for free advertising opportunities. This was just PPC, just funnel optimization, just landing page optimization, conversion rate optimization, like just the paid stuff. And that blew up at the same time that I was getting all this experience. And that became like growth marketing as a whole. And we had like a Lyft Uber level competition with one other company for a while. Like everyone's in the paper, and then you're going and commenting on their news articles with a hyperlink to your site. Like with a dummy profile. Like, oh, this site's good, but I like this one better. Like we were really aggressive, and we ended up getting acquired by Living Social. Got some huge budgets. Ended up training the user act team in Living Social, and blah 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 blah. I don't want to badmouth Living Social at all, but there was some long-term issues with the LTV numbers there that they weren't thinking about the nuances of the Middle East. People don't buy. E-commerce is not great in the Middle East. It's getting there now, but this is 7, 8 years ago. Credit card fraud, shipping problems. They tried cash on delivery as a daily deal thing. It didn't work. So left Living Social, went to a Yelp copy. I'll try and speed this story up a bit, but That's when I got to like the earliest stage. Like this was just an idea of this founder. Like he went to college in the US and loved Yelp. So we copied Yelp, came up with the whole branding concept, language. The company was called You Dig, like 1970s term, like you dig it. Bought the domain, yadig.com, and built it up, all SEO, like just so got a really, really high-end SEO consultant who trained me, and I've been considering myself an SEO expert ever since. But bunch of wins in SEO since then. But that one particularly, in like a month, we got to the first page rank for 60,000 businesses in the Middle East. So it was like the businesses, if they had a website, it was their website, their Facebook page, and then us, like on every business. So shitloads of traffic all of a sudden. And then it's like, wow, we're getting this traffic. How do you monetize it? I found out very quickly, if anybody's watching this, never go to a startup that's self-funded by the founder, unless it's really early stage and he knows, and this person has raised money before and is open to like advisory and investors being like, involved in guiding the project. When you go to a self project, they don't have to answer to anyone. And it's just like, you do what I say, even though I have more experience and I'm trying to tell you this is how we win. So he wouldn't bring on any external capital, and there were some issues there, but we got it to like 600,000 uniques a month and teetered out from there. And so I was like, you know what, I need to get out of the Middle East here. There's really Middle East is amazing. Dubai is amazing, but there's a lack of innovation there that no one will argue with. Even my friends that are in VCs there, I mean, they're still getting pitches from daily deals in 2018, right? So it's a tough landscape. So I was like, I again took a massive risk. I was like, San Francisco, don't care, I'm moving there. Oh, most expensive place, don't care, going. And not that I had a ton of money or anything. I just was like, I knew that that's where the innovation is, and that's what was really going to push me to be passionate about what I'm working on. And I hadn't really thought about consulting or having my own company there. I felt like I needed to be around exciting projects. I wanted a really big exit that like was all because of me and that really helped people. And so I moved there, took some time evaluating companies. And for me, it was like, I'm not interviewing, I'm interviewing you. Like I have the background to be able to provide enough value now that I can be confident. I want to make sure that you're the right project for me. The next thing I work on needs to be a win, because I had like 2 failures, although the Daily Deal thing exited, but like Living Social was a failure. The Yelp thing was a failure, actually a huge failure. Like he closed, after I left, he closed it up. Didn't send an email to the 1.5 million email addresses, didn't post on Facebook, just closed it down. There was articles in the paper, what happened to you, did whatever. People went to Google, dead links, embarrassing. So I had a vendetta for that. So I'm like, so moved to San Francisco. No, I love travel. So tried to focus on startups in the travel industry. Found a company that was working on an algorithm to personalize hotel and flight search. So the same way Netflix personalizes your search results based on what you watched previously, this company wanted to do that for the Expedias of the world. And I thought that was revolutionary. I mean, that's my target demographic. I book flights and hotels all the time. I'm like, this would save me some time. And it just didn't make sense that, you're spending $0 on Netflix and you're getting customized results, or you're spending $50 on Amazon and getting customized results, where you're spending on average, $200-$500 on travel booking sites and still not getting customized results. So joined with this company, we raised like almost $2 million, and we quickly realized you need like 100 times that to go against any kind of travel booking website. Yeah, man. Yeah. Booking.com spends $1 billion a year on AdWords alone. Might even be more than that now. That's an outdated figure, but like they have like teams. Yeah, they're responsible for the Google stock price being where it is, I'm sure. So we pivoted to B2B, and I was like, this is an awesome experience for me. I never really done a lot of B2B stuff except for, at the Daily Deal thing. Obviously, we're doing some B2B at the Yelp thing too. So fully B2B company, ended up becoming a SaaS product with a multi-million-dollar price tag. There's only like 10 potential clients out there. It's like, what kind of marketing do you do to get to the front? And so it was totally different than anything I'd done. It was all thought leadership, content marketing, and not just blogging. I'm researching and writing 30-page white papers on personalization in the industry. I'm getting speaking engagements for my
It's CEO. Like enterprise sales.
It was like enterprise sales that nobody wants. Like you have to reach out to these companies that are already making billions and be like, yo,
Yes.
this is gonna move your needle. But okay, show us a case study. Well, we don't have any. We're brand new, but we got this ex Google team and ex.
We have these white papers.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
like, it was literally just not smoke and mirrors, but it was all marketing. And we did a lot of press marketing around every white paper and infographic. We did what's called side project marketing, where I had some engineering time set aside for marketing projects. And we basically we had the world's largest data set of categorized review sentiments. So probably illegally, we scraped all the review sites in the world, and which is legal as long as you don't present the review data. And we could basically show you a thumbs up or thumbs down for hotels based on the Wi-Fi. So if you search Wi-Fi LA, it'll show you the top hotels by the review positive sentiments of the Wi-Fi in the reviews. So like if Wi-Fi is the most important thing to you, it'll show you hotels that people say good things about the Wi-Fi. So it's pretty revolutionary. And we put out like a nationwide interactive map about that. So that was like a 3-month project with the engineers. So you could like click on California and type in the Wi-Fi keyword, and it would show you all the best hotels on the map with Wi-Fi reviews. And then you could like zoom into San Francisco and even see those. So that got a bunch of legs in the press, and got a pilot with the Expedia of Europe. And we killed the pilot. It was a really long sales cycle. First time CEO, not a lot of experience there. He was really burnt out on the fundraising tip and like freaking out about every dollar. And so the pilot went well, and we got acquired. So here I am as a marketer, 6 years, 3 exits, all marketing pretty much every time. I mean, the product was pretty awesome in the classified site one. But the last 2 was really just, we were differentiating on the marketing mostly. And so I was like, you know what? Because he sold so fast, I didn't get my equity paid out and whatever, because he just paid off the investors. It was a small exit. I was like, you know what? I think I'd do better as a consultant and having my hands in helping multiple founders win at the same time. And so that's what I did. I'd already been traveling all over the world, so I wasn't really worried about becoming a digital nomad. But I went to an event called HustleCon. It's a pretty famous event in the Bay Area. And I've actually written for their blog about how I launched my consultancy there. But I went there after this exit. I was like, riding high. I'm like, I'm the man. I'm going to just focus on giving back to my community. So I went to this event, and I spent all day out in the trenches outside of the event, just giving free advice to early stage founders, not trying to get anything in return. The next day I had like a list full of emails of people like, hey, can I buy you a coffee? Hey, can I give you $200 for a strategy call? Can I do this and that? And I ended up just being like, you know what? The couple projects out of all those emails that I really liked, I was like, whatever you have to spend, I'll work for you full time. I don't care about the money. So I got 2 clients for $1,500 a month each full time, which nobody would ever do. But I was really like, so my first tip for anybody that wants to get started, especially if you want to go remote, is do what you love. But offer yourself for free while you're doing your day job. Offer yourself for free. If it's remote, like reach out to companies that I want to get more experience in remote SEO. So can I do yours for free? And nobody's going to say no unless it takes a lot of their engineering time or something. But if you're creating an SEO audit for someone, what's the skin off their back? Like, I just need experience. It's like kind of like a self-taught internship, right? So that's what I did. I was able to go straight to $1,500, but I had already been doing a little bit of stuff for free, like consultations and whatever. But so I moved to Nicaragua like the next week. Got these 2 clients. One was a web design agency, and the other was like a string of acupuncture companies or something like that. It was a meditation startup, something like that. I remember, but so I moved to Nicaragua. So I know my income is now $3,000 a month. Nicaragua, you don't even need $1,000 a month. So I don't need to worry about money at all. And I can just hustle and focus on the work. And for 6 months, I literally crushed it for these companies. Like the web design agency had more leads than they could even stand. And they had to like hire a bunch of people. The other app, they ended up I just was supposed to get them to a point where they could go raise some money. They raised like $2 million, and then they hired a full-time marketer, and they were like, cool, thanks. So, and after that, it was just like, I never had to really focus on the outbound stuff. It's just leads just come inbound, and then I keep saying no until I have the bandwidth. And, I wasn't ever doing any marketing for myself. It's a lot of word of mouth. And, when you operate in San Francisco and LA here, everybody knows somebody. And if you're winning, they're posting about you on social media. They're sharing I've never really had to make a case study or anything. I get, LinkedIn reviews or whatever, but usually people just be at an event or a friend will be like, oh, we just raised this money. And like, I'm so stressed. I can't even go out with you guys tonight because I got to build our PPC campaigns. And they're like, yo, you need to talk to my friend Andrew. So that's kind of how, but as my confidence increased, I just increased my rate. And I also have never been, I consider myself anti-agency. I've never tried to hustle people into 6-month contract. If I like the project, I'll just accept any terms. I don't care. I'm just focused on the work. And that has enabled me to get better and better jobs because, if they want to do a 1-month test with me, if I really am confident that I'm going to crush it, I'm going to take it. And nobody will do that. No agency with overhead will sign anything less than 6-month agreement because the work is so front loaded that if you don't get that,
oh my God,
you're screwing yourself. Yeah. But I've only lost one ever after the month, and it was because of corporate bureaucracy of their holding company was like, you know what, the consulting thing is cool. We want someone in house, and that's fine. And I would say 7 out of 85% or something like that extends. So with that confidence and more income, I just moved to nicer and nicer places. So I moved from Nicaragua to Prague in Europe and did the whole Europe thing for 2016. And then, I just kept moving up and up and just really focusing on the work and not really about optimizing my revenue, which I think enabled my clients to really get a good value and stay long-term. And I never took on more than like 2 or 3 clients at a time and did it all myself. So, that you have to be ready for the social life to suffer. People think like the digital nomad life is, oh my God, I want to go to the beach all the time. If you fucking go to the beach all the time, you're not going to get any work done and you're going to be done in 6 months. Right. So I had weeks where I didn't go to the beach and I'm like a block away from, not a week. That's a lie. So, but I had definitely like days. So let me go through a day in the life of someone. So this year I lived 2 months on a tiny island in Thailand that had nothing but Wi-Fi and little not taco stands, but the equivalent of little taco trucks around. Like, so it's pad thai and rice and noodles and whatever. But I mean, like nothing, no nightlife, no movie theater, no grocery stores, no cars. It's just scooters and this little bungalow on the water. And I worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week there. And if you don't have the ability to do that, you should not look into this lifestyle, right? There's nobody telling me what to do. There's nobody like pushing me. If you're hitting snooze on the alarm, you're fucked already. I didn't even have an alarm. I'm up in the morning at 6, like, fuck yeah, let's get this workout in and let's go. I mean, I'd run down the beach, go do a hardcore swim, and then fucking shower. And then I'm at 7 or so, I'm at the breakfast table. They're bringing me fruit and muesli and juice, and I'm just like green tea, into the zone. And if you don't have the ability to do that, then this is not the right lifestyle for you. So that's the first thing I always tell people, are you sure you're the right person for this? Like, I think that most people are not alpha enough to really be their own motivator. Definitely from your experience in the military, I definitely could have not done that. I was in ROTC for like 2 days. 2 days.
No way.
Yeah, wait. Got to college. Was like, yes, I want free college. I've always been a very disciplined person, and I saw myself. I tried to get into Virginia Military Institute, had really bad grades, and so they were like, go to a regular school in Ohio, start with ROTC, and then come. Yeah. And then so I got there, and they're like, all right, PT 5:30 in the morning tomorrow, and I was like, about that. There's like parties. So the social life took over in college, so I never went that route. But I've always been like militant with discipline. And, like always been on a hardcore diet my whole life and, self-imposed, like not because of anything. So I've always been able and raised by entrepreneurs. Like my mom and my dad both have never had a resume or a job interview. And so that example makes it really easy for me to self-motivate. I remember my dad telling me when I was a little kid that he never used an alarm. And I thought that was just ridiculous as a kid to wake up in the morning. And now I'm there. I don't use an alarm ever at all for work, because I'm excited to get out of bed. And so that comes with being an entrepreneur, but also just aligning yourself with your passion. So it takes time, and there's definitely a down cycle. Like, you're like, damn, I could be, when I'm starting the agency out, I was lucky that I just could leave to a place that was cheap enough to where I never had to worry about the money. but still there's some time in between clients sometimes where you're not making a lot and you're like working a lot and you're like, man, I could have that padded job, you know? So right now I'm working with Tinder and Match Group here in LA. I got a cryogenic facial at work yesterday and then a massage the day before, you know? And I'm like, damn, this office life is amazing, but you still don't feel the wins as much as when you are totally by yourself and you're out there. And, you know, like, I remember when my first 5-figure client came in and I was on the beach somewhere and I was like, dude, this is major. Like I've really like made it. And so that feeling you can't beat. It's like, I don't have any kids or anything, but it's like finding out your husband or wife, I mean, your wife is pregnant. And
no, for sure. That's huge, man. Going into a 5-figure contract, that's gotta be like, first time that happens, it's gotta be pretty exciting.
From $1,500 to a year later, a 5-figure client. And you know, you're like, yeah, I'm doing something right. And I've been lucky enough to where I'm a really like simple minimalist guy. So that's the next thing about becoming a digital nomad. I have like 20 of these shirts and these are my only pants, straight up. These are my only sandals. These are like literally 2 years old, really good brand, Soul, S-O-L-E, if anybody wants to know, like they've never broken. And like when I was in Thailand, I just wore a bathing suit. That's it. No shirt, no shoes for 3 months. I mean, I was on a deserted island, so you don't need anything, right? But yeah, so the hyper minimalist thing has been I don't go shopping. I've never bought on Amazon. I never go to Walmart. I've never been to Starbucks ever in my life. And so that enables me to live very modestly. And so like, I never had to really focus on the money, and like all the people that are worried about optimizing the money end up fucking over their clients or not giving, if you try to have 20 clients before you actually are really improving your product and your service, then you're not going to go the distance. And so I've been lucky that I naturally was not into money from the beginning. And that's what I also tell people, like, could you do this if you weren't getting paid? And I actually wrote a long thing on Reddit on the Digital Nomad channel, which if you go to Reddit right now, it's probably like number 2 or number 3 on the Digital Nomad thing because of all the hate that I got. But I wrote exactly what I said, like, start by offering yourself for free while you're keeping your day job to get that experience and what you want. And people were just ripping it apart. Like, no, you should not. You should follow opportunity, not follow your passion. I couldn't believe that people are saying not to follow your passion. But then I Googled it. There are some talks from people like from Mike Rowe, the Dirty Jobs guy, has a talk about that at a commencement speech. Like, that's terrible. I'm here to put it on the record. Follow your passion, because if you are passionate about what you're doing, then you don't care about the money. You just need to cover your baseline, and the passion comes through. I close like 75% of people that I ever pitch, because I don't pitch them unless I know I'm going to be passionate about what they're working on, because it comes through. Nobody can beat me. If like every job interview I've ever had, I've probably closed like 90% of job interviews I've ever had, because I'm not even going to do the first interview unless I know I could stand behind that product and that company and that founder. And that comes through. And like, you need to be able to think on your toes and speak well or whatever. But if you're passionate about something, I mean, everything else can be learned.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, man, that's so much experience you got. And like that just seems like a blur of experience in marketing. A couple of things stood out though. What I wanted to ask you about was, oh man, there's like 2 main things. I have to get this one first. Is you said you went to Grubhub, and essentially were you pitching them on an idea like that for the fact that there was going to be this marketplace business in the Middle East and that they should do something to expand there? Or what were you pitching them on? Because the idea of walking to Grubhub when it was starting and being like, Groupon. You guys need to do this. Yeah, Groupon. That's mind blowing. What happened with that?
So I think I went to LinkedIn. I just searched Groupon, and I think it was a guy named Tim. So they were only like a 15-person company, and I just guessed his email address was Tim@Groupon, and it was. And I mean, like, so this is a true stat. I've actually done the self-research myself. 85% of early employees are just first name at companyname.com. So founder, everything.
I've used that one a few times.
I did a sample of 100 or maybe 200 on AngelList, where I just had a data entry person take the first name of the founder and the company name, and then I sent out an email to them, and it was 85% delivery. So that is a small sample size, but you can estimate that between 80 and 90% of time you'll be right if you just guess that email address. So I just emailed him, and then he didn't respond, and then I emailed him again, and he was like, hey, if you're around Chicago, let's have a chat about it. But I don't think it's an interest. He was like, I'm kind of not the person to talk to, but you can come by. And, so every message I send, I always think about what's the value, right? If I was just asking for a job, they would never respond. They get that all the time. But I'm talking about them winning. I'm trying to help them win, right? So like they knew competitors are popping up left and right. They might not have been focused that far in expansion, but it's still a valuable message, right? So he responded, and we met with them, and they were just like, no, dude, we're fucking tackling the US first, and that's a beast, and we don't even know what's going on there. But it was like a 30-minute thing and a beer, and that was it. And I wasn't like, they weren't like anything to starstruck and stars, you know what I mean? Like it was an early stage thing at the time, but they were already taking off. And then but like literally like a month later, there was guys in the Middle East already thinking about it. And so that's when I found them. But the funny thing is Groupon is still in the Middle East, and they are still winning in the Middle East. Like they own the entire Daily Deals thing still out there. And obviously even in the US, they bought Living Social, whatever. But so it shows like that slow and steady approach probably is best. If there's no one out there that's going to buy you and you're not going for an exit, the slow and steady, thoughtful approach is probably best.
That's interesting though. And then that's such a cool story. And then you also said that, you never had an interest in being a founder. You've always just wanted to do the growth and the marketing. Like, why is that? It's just like your personality, like the type of work you like. What do you think?
I go back to it every once in a while because, I'm in the industry for so long. I have a shitload of good ideas, but the idea is worth nothing. And you have to be able to know the number one thing for a founder to know before you start something is, could you do nothing but this for fucking 5 to 10 years? Because that's the average before, in my opinion, before an exit or anything happens. Like plenty of founders, Amazon wasn't even profitable for like 19 years or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? So you need to be able to know that so these classifieds, dude, it started as like a fake news blog for a while, which is actually really dangerous in Dubai, but they were living 2 guys in a bunk bed in a shitty little room in an apartment, while at the height of Dubai, where people in real estate were making $100,000 a night on commission and stuff by selling. And so like with no English abilities, and these guys were American, the only Americans I knew at the time in Dubai, and their whole family's messaging them and telling them like, you're so stupid, come home. Like, why are you suffering in Dubai being broke when everyone's rich? And they had that tunnel vision. They were like, no, this is going to change the world. This is going to be huge. We're going to help millions of people. And nobody saw it. And they were able to see past all the naysayers. And I have a ton of respect for that. And when I saw them get that exit, and like they also always focus on user experience and quality. And I'd never seen that at the time. And that's another big thing for startups to win. Like if you are focused on money and revenue and just getting to market as fast as possible, then you might not be winning as much as if you're focused on making users happy and providing a ton of value. And that's what an example of that was customers were writing in all the time, like, I want to wear a shirt that has your name. It was called, the site's called Dubizzle, the way Snoop Dogg would say Dubai, Dubizzle, my nizzle, or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's all
crazy, totally crazy name. And now it's an actual word in Arabic. It's like a verb, like to Google something, like, like you should just Dubizzle it, Habibi, whatever. But so they would not get shirts made until they could find shirts high enough quality that they would want to wear. So that we actually like shipped American Apparel stuff, then got it printed out and did it out there. And I was like, at the time, I was like the head of marketing. I'm like, we need to get shirts to these people. That's branding. Like I want them to wear it. And they were so focused on the quality. And so I recognize that as that's not where I am. I'm a really aggressive marketer. I want to go as fast as possible. And I work really well with the founders who have those tight focus on quality and user experience. And like, I'm the devil on the shoulder, like, let's go, 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 go. And they're like the angel saying, no, let's hold back and be more thoughtful because of the long-term stuff. And so that's my sweet spot. I've tried to get out of it, but instead of fighting it, I'm just owning it. I think, like I said, I've gone back to being a founder. I'll just give away to my 2 best ideas because I hope that they exist someday. And if the people are out there listening and they make it, hit me up because I'll be the marketer. But I had an idea that I worked on, which was Airbnb for hot tubs. Think about that. Think about that.
Yeah.
Hot Tubs Tonight was what it was going to be called, like Hotel Tonight or whatever. But this was a super bro-y San Francisco thing that I started getting made with. I found a partner iOS developer, and he was like, not a super social guy, as most engineers are. And he was like, this will be great to meet chicks or whatever. And I was like, well, I was thinking of just the viral aspect of it, like just the hilarious TechCrunch story, like the most bro-y startup of all time. But like it's an actual problem that needed to be solved. Like there's nowhere, if you wanted to go use a hot tub right now, you wouldn't even know what to do. Like you wouldn't even know what to do. So,
I'd be beside myself.
And from the owner aspect, there's no way to generate revenue or to even automate the cleaning and upkeep of your hot tub. And so like the app would do all of that. And so I thought about being a founder for a while. I worked on it. And then this iOS developer got a huge, super fat job with Kaiser Permanente offer. And he was like, $160 an hour consulting job. Bye, Andrew. And I was like, I don't even want to go through the recruiting. And then, my agency stuff was taking off. And so I was like, so it's not that I'm not passionate about it. I just don't see myself being able to work on something for 5 to 10 years. I can do a year. I can get something to like really big. And actually this iOS developer was like, he has a ton of experience as well, super older guy. And he was like, as a startup guy, you should be happy with a quick 1 year, $1 million exit versus like, because the chances of getting to that are actually like, 10%. If you got a good idea and you can build a good MVP and get and good marketer that can get some early traction, TechCrunch article, you can raise money at a multi-million-dollar valuation pretty quickly, and you can let go of it if you like that. So that I can do, but it's like being married to something where it's like your baby, your wife, your dog, your house, your apartment, everything is that for years. I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah. It's a huge commitment up front, man. I don't know. I think it takes a unique type of person to want to do that.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I'm just really passionate about doing multiple things at once and having like new projects and new learning and new growth. Like every project I take on, the one thing that has to have is something I haven't done before or an industry I haven't been a part of. Like for instance, this project, I'm working with dating products and like totally different beast. Like PPC doesn't work here. It's all influencer and word of mouth, PR, like that, the stuff that people trust. So it's new.
Yeah. That sounds like totally different, the type of marketing. You mentioned you're out there. So I know you said most of this is word of mouth, but how do you get clients? Is it all word of mouth? And what do you suggest other marketing consultants do to get clients if they're freelance?
So that's a good question. I would never lie. It's not all word of mouth. I also reach out to projects that I really like on my own, but I'm not responding to job interviews. I'm not, I'll go on Angel List and I'll search like companies that have recently raised money and I'll just look through, I'll look at the product, I'll download it, I'll go to their website, I'll sign up, I'll do a demo. If I really like it and I know that a client's ending soon and I could really crush this, even if they don't have a job posting, I'll reach out to them like, hey, this is what I do. Here's some examples and case studies of stuff that I've done. And I always get a chat with the founder. And like I said, like usually the first chat, 50% chance that it'll make it to a second one. They might not be aligned, but they still wanted to talk. Like, so, I've got some examples in my head of like 2-hour discussions with founders that I gave away all the free advice I could. And they were like, yo, thank you so much. If, like you're always welcome to come to our office, whatever, but we probably not open to someone remote. It's a particular type of founder that wants to work with a consultant, right? So one of my best clients ever was in Australia, ex-Google guy and his wife. Imagine a husband and wife co-founder. Wife was global head of product at Uber. He was a global partnerships guy at Google. They lived in San Francisco, but they're from Australia. They moved back to Australia and started a property management tech company because property ownership is really huge out there in the old industry. And so they were really forward thinking because of the big companies that they worked at. And so they were like, they knew that they wanted someone from San Francisco who had that speed, but to apply it to Australia. And like, I worked with them for 6 months before I ever met them, And so like, I'm in San Francisco working on this project, ridiculous hours. And then they flew me out to Australia and I got to work with them out there for a little bit, like a month or something. But they were so focused on just hitting those growth numbers so they could go and then raise that next round. And then with the next round, build out that team. They have to have that experience to know, like they that big company guts to know that like this company is going far and that long-term vision. And so not a lot of people don't have that and they want to be able to micromanage and have, I just had an hour call with them every day, once a day. And then the rest they knew was going to be handled by Andrew. And so they have to have that confidence, and a lot of first-time founders and stuff don't.
Yeah. So definitely a hard sell. Anything you found that helps you to identify what companies might be open to that? Like, are there any things that people might not expect?
Um, if the founder has a lot of experience, it's particularly like quick exits before, then that's someone that knows how to make intuitive, quick decisions. And if you have the background to back it up, just have a chat with them. The number one thing is I'm just never selling people. I'm offering free advice. I'm like, hey, I want to have a chat, like, or are we aligned? I'm not trying to get anything from them. I'm trying to see if we work together. If we go, I don't work for people, right? I've never had a boss. I work with people. You know what I mean? And so, so the number one thing is one, look for someone with experience and quick wins. And two, look for someone who needs your value that you offer. So if they've been looking for a marketer for like 3 months full time, reach out like, hey, it's clearly not working for you what you're doing. Maybe a remote person that I can start tomorrow. I don't need benefits. I just need a quick email, verbal contract, whatever. I mean, you want to get stuff in writing. I've definitely been screwed over by being too trustworthy on stuff. I won't name any names, but I've worked with founders that I was just like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of your product. I can't believe I'm working with you. And then they screwed me over. But the average freelancer in America gets screwed out of $6,000 a year. I'm at $5,400 this year. So it's small money comparatively, but I'm trying to keep that as low as possible. And especially when you're doing good work, it shouldn't happen, but contracting is really important. And it's, like I said, I've never been really about the money. And I'm trying to become more like serious about those contracts and stuff, because if they can take advantage, sometimes they will, especially at the end. A lot of these companies they love what you do and the value, and they want to try and get you to quit consulting and join full time with them. And that's not what you want to do. And so you let them down as easy as possible, and they're still kind of upset. They're like, what? You don't think our project is amazing enough for you to drop everything? And I'm like, it's amazing, but it's not what I'm passionate about. But anyway, so experience, and then it's just all about the value you create. So if there's a gap in what they're doing that you think you can fill, you're not selling them anything. You're trying to help them. So that's who you should approach.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And are there any types of, like, I know you said you're not about the pricing, but are there any types of pricing that have worked best for you, or that you've got offered the most in terms of like retainers or performance based or anything, like any combination of those?
I go off two things: the amount of work and the value I think I'm going to provide. So for a company that is going to go raise $20 million off of these ROI numbers that I'm going to produce, there's no number too large for them, right? So I am still, like, I just keep raising the rate as I go, as I get more confident that I'm going to create that value. And yeah, I don't know how much higher I can go than where I'm at right now, but like, nobody says no because of the money. Because if they do, I just say, thank you so much for chatting with me, but I'm going to keep going and looking because I'm making you millions. I'm making you millions. So how could you bitch about thousands, right? So, like, again, I've never really been about the money. And if I'm really passionate about a project, I never let that get in the way. I want to do it and I want to win. And now, at the point I'm at now, I'm just looking for things that are going to actually not pad my resume because it's there. It's like that are going to help me grow, that I'm going to learn, and then I'm going to add to my skill set. But the money needs to be there just because I get so much inbound interest. So I can just say, I'm sorry, unless you have this level. I mean, I don't know if I want to throw it out there, but unless you have $10,000 to $20,000 a month to spend and still confident that the value is going to be there, then we shouldn't be talking. And that's why I was saying before we started recording, the next step for me is, I actually am launching like some online courses and stuff because I hate turning down really early stage companies. So I end up doing what we're doing now and giving like an hour of my time for $100 to founders a lot, on just giving them as much free advice as possible. It's not free but that's just the way I can weed out the companies that are never going to really do anything. So I have a call this weekend with a founder in Columbus, Ohio, where I'm from. And she's really early stages. She doesn't have any money. So I'm like, cool, $100, and we'll sit down. And then after the call, I'll write up a custom strategy for you. That doesn't move the needle for me at all. That's just my way of giving back, but still trying to weed out the jokers that aren't really ever going to have their own project or something. Because if you're going to invest money in it, then you're probably going to do it. But yeah. So the money thing has just really come with scarcity. So you charge less when you have less opportunities, and as you have more opportunities coming in, supply and demand, right? And then also with the value that I'm producing. So now I'm on my maybe 30th consulting contract in 3 years or so, or maybe more, maybe less. And I went from $1,500. I think I can really produce a lot of value to like, the bigger contracts. And maybe the next step is working with, even bigger companies that have like startup side projects, and then you're charging them even more because there's millions of them. Yeah, it's a big company, but it's not trying to rip someone off. There's millions of them out there, and there's only one of me, and I can't do more than 1 or 2 of these at a time because then I'm not providing enough value. So to be able to pick you, it's got to be, especially when it's a big company, I'm probably going to be less passionate about it than a big startup. I mean, than an awesome startup. So you have to replace that passion with.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. So it's totally the thing about supply and demand. It's like, yeah, you just get that confidence when you have a lot of people coming in, and it's, it's backed by something real. It's not false confidence. Like you got people in the pipeline.
Right.
Yeah. Another thing you said was, I really liked earlier, is you said, you can BS and, tell people whatever to get the contract, but you have to be able to back it up and knowing you can provide the value and actually do the work. So how did you know that when you're coming in and it's like a system you've never done before? How did you know that you're going to be able to provide that value? Is it just your experience of having grinded on things until as long as you can?
The first project out of college, I didn't know shit. And the guy who hired me at this tourism company was like very visionary. Like he was like, I think social media is going to be really big in 2007. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, I even Google AdWords was nowhere near what it is now. And he was like, I want someone to do Google AdWords and do, like handle our Facebook. There was no Facebook ads yet. And he was really visionary. And he was like, I see you're the guy. It's that hustle that you have. That's what you want. He's like, I'll buy you any course. I'll buy all the books. I'll give you a $10,000 budget from day one. And so like, it's not luck because I was looking for that opportunity. And so like it's all about the top of the funnel, right? If you maximize the top of your funnel, then some of the opportunities are going to end up converting at the bottom. And so I was really open to opportunities. And then he actually had that vision, and he bought me like 10 fucking books and gave me a budget and courses and everything. And I learned everything in that year in Mexico working with him. And, it wasn't just me. I mean, his business, I still talk with him, is like still thriving off of that stuff. And he's got a 1,000-person company now. And
oh, wow.
number one tourism conglomerate in Mexico. He owns the biggest tourism companies in Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, Cabo, everything. And if I had stayed there, it probably would have been awesome and I'd be retired, but I wouldn't have done all that cool stuff. And I'm glad I left because Mexico you can retire really easily in Mexico. And so after that, I had the confidence because I'm like 23 and I blew this guy's business up. I'm like really excited about it. And so I was not confident that I could do it for tons of different industries, and I didn't know everything, but I was confident that I could provide more value than I was going to charge every time, right? So that's all you need to be able to do is if you're charging 10 grand, are you going to be able to make them more than 10 grand, right? So that's it.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I'm going to hurry up here too because I know you probably got a lot of other stuff to do today. Just have a couple more questions. One of them would be, what are the marketing skills you think people need to learn? What are the most important skills for new marketers to learn, most important in the job market right now, or just they're going to be a freelancer or consultant?
I think analytics is really a big gap. Most marketers say they're really analytical and data driven, but it's not true. And you're making a lot of guesses if you don't really know how to analyze your data and really how to be confident what KPIs to focus on. So I think analytics is really a big deal. I also think like influencer marketing. So I'm here in LA right now, and definitely it's a different beast here, but like Instagram is the new cell phone. Instagram is the new TV. I've been here like a couple months. No one says, give me your phone number. They're like, add me on Instagram. It's everything. It's my highest performing paid ad channel. I just think that I'm spending a lot of time working with Netflix influencers right now. And they're just really providing a massive ROI. And I think that's going to be a huge thing for digital marketing going forward. So I'm testing a lot of channels right now that are like platforms that are at the super nascent stage, the way AdWords was 10 years ago or 12 years ago. And it's going to be like self-service influencer scalable campaigns going forwards to where maybe inside of Facebook, maybe in AdWords or other platforms, but the ability to like book and click content.
Yeah, just like AdWords.
with influencers. I think that's where it's going forward. So the VP here at Match Group that I'm working with says he actually came up with it, like Instagram is the new TV. And I love that. I think that's really true because you just go anywhere and it's just like, just zoned in on it, right? And so I think that's a big focus for digital marketing is how to create native-like content for these platforms. Like, so, I'm sure as a marketer, the biggest performing videos right now are like, hey guys, I'm testing out this new thing right here or whatever, like click it, because users are seeing that not as a B2C approach. They're like, that's a regular person. They don't know what the word sponsored there means. So I think that's another thing. And yeah, I see like PPC taking a lot more backseat than we've ever had before. I mean, like, I'm getting a little bit jaded because the dating industry, PPC stuff doesn't really work. And this is my main project right now, but I still love Facebook for the targeting abilities. I mean, I think it's just incredible what we can do with Facebook ads. I mean, it just blows me away every day. Every time I give free advice to friends, like, so I have a friend in Oakland, California with a African clothing line, and I was showing her the capabilities of targeting the affinity audit groups of like people that are interested in African culture, and she was just like it's amazing. So yeah, it's crazy, So lookalikes, when you show someone a lookalike for the first time, and they have like 10,000 customer email addresses, and you dump that in and you watch it perform like incredibly well. So I think that'll go further. There'll be more with that. But because of the whole data stuff with Facebook, they're not going to be making big partnerships anymore like they used to. So I'm sure you can target people by income, credit score, whatever. Those are all data partnerships that Facebook's made. And I don't see more of those happening because it's just like creepy, and you don't realize you're agreeing to that in your T's and C's with your credit card company, that they're going to give your data to Facebook behind your back. So that's why I see like the influencer stuff really going forwards, because people appreciate it. And that's like, whenever a channel gets like saturated, it's because of two things, like add too many advertisers on it, which is clearly happening with the PPC stuff. And the second is users becoming aware that that's an ad and not liking it anymore. And the best thing as an advertiser is to jump on the bandwagon of a new advertising channel unit. Whenever Facebook launches a new ad unit, I'm like, the Messenger thing like a year ago, whatever, that's running to that, because you have major wins there while users aren't they're still susceptible. They're like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's an ad. Sure, that full screen thing comes out now. A couple, like 6 years ago, Facebook tested this log out thing. So if anywhere in the world, if you log out of Facebook, it'd show you an ad, like the whole Facebook thing would go. And it was like $750,000 for a day when it launched. And the first customer was the re-release of Titanic, like the 15-year re-release of Titanic or whatever it was. So for every day, for one day, everyone in the world who signed out of Facebook saw this ad for that thing. Anyway, so that kind of stuff as the new ad units, and I think will also be really interesting coming forwards. But don't advertise on Snapchat. No, I'm kidding. Not unless you're targeting 14-year-olds and you want to pay a high CPM, then do it. But
not a Snapchat fan. Cool.
Dude,
cool.
No,
that's
and I'm in LA, and the word on the street is not great here. Wow. Like I threw a launch event for this app, and I was like, oh, I'll do a snap filter. Like the app's called Crown, right? We'll do a snap filter. And the events guy who was born and raised in LA was like, no, that's a waste. Nobody uses Snapchat in LA anymore. I was like, oh, and you think that? Yeah. So.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Instagram killed it. Instagram just killed it.
That's rough. That's rough for them.
And on that note, have a great.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, no, it looks like you're getting ready for another meeting or something. So I want to wrap it up. But the last question is just like, is there anything else you want to tell people or that I missed? I should have asked you that I didn't.
No, so first thing is, like I said, the lifestyle is not always glamorous. It gives you the ability to do whatever you want. And if you want to travel all the time, you can do that. But the ideal length for me is I'm never traveling more than once a week. Like you never want to, and nowadays I try to stay like 2 months at a time in a place, because the more you travel, the less you're working, right? Those days going to the airport back and forth or whatever. So that's really important. And really just focusing on the value in everything that you do. Like, so you might be like, I'm dead broke and I need to really focus on me right now. then just get your easy day job and then focus on the value on your nights and weekends on what you're doing. And then that comes back. Like, that's a really big Bay Area thing. When I moved to San Francisco, very serendipitous lifestyle there. People were like, you know, very into volunteering and giving their time. And that washed over me. And I met with a really famous VC, and you know, I'm sitting at the other end of the boardroom table, and he's like giving me advice for no reason, just to fucking help me out. I'm brand new. And I was like, you know, thank you so much. He's like, you do the same thing. Once you're up, you just focus on giving back. And so you hit me up, and there's no benefit for me to doing this. And I always make sure I can give my time to people to give advice and help out. And dude, it comes back. Like I said, I wrote this article on Reddit, this post on Reddit about like pretty much a lot of the same stuff we just talked about. Got a bunch of hate from the haters that have no experience and no idea what they're talking about. But a couple people hit me up for partnerships. Hey, I got some clients we can share, whatever. And I was not looking for that at all. I wrote many times, you know, like, I'm not interested in clients because most likely they're not going to have the rate that I need from Reddit. And I already am at max capacity. So I wasn't looking for anything. But then the partnership is interesting because they have their own agency and whatever. So it's the other thing is just really focusing on helping. Like, if you're reaching out to a company because you can help them, the reception is going to be 100 times better than if you're like, here's another cold email from another agency trying to take your money. You know, I don't send those. So I think those are the things. And then, just enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying it, even from the beginning when you're learning, just keep trying other things, man. So I love what I do, and that comes through with those. You know, I worked like 3 14-hour days this week, and I was fine. I was totally fine. I bragged about it, but I wasn't tired or anything because I fucking love what I'm doing. And so if you aren't there yet, if you're listening to this and you don't love what you're doing, I mean, you must love doing this. You're not getting paid to do this.
Yeah, no, I do love doing it. Yeah.
Right. And so if you love what you're doing, you don't mind spending an hour talking to some random dude on the internet. So
this is good, man. I mean, I'm learning. I learned so much from like this right now, man. So much. Good.
Well, I should charge for this shit. Maybe down the line. I did a speaking tour this year around the world. I spoke in Nigeria, UAE, Thailand, Indonesia, Czech Republic, Norway. I guess more than a year, like 16 or 18 months. And I love giving back. So if anybody's watching this and needs a speaker at their co-working space or their incubator, whatever, hit me up. I'd love to come through. All you gotta do is buy me the flight.
Nice. And that's andrewstartups.com, right?
It's andrewstartups.com. We're rebranding in a week to growthexperts with a Z.com. So I'm taking my name out of it because now we're at the level where I have a partner in the agency. She's got 15 years experience. Lindsay, if you're watching this, you're amazing. You're a superhero. And she's even more badass than me because she's also an expert web developer. It's mind-blowing, like to have 10 years experience with paid ads and all that stuff, but then also, and she's fully remote. She's also a heavy metal singer. She travels all over the world. So she's
interesting.
Yeah, she's badass. So found her a global search for 3 months for my first ever employee, and she ended up being in LA. So
that is crazy. I got to get her on here, man.
She doesn't do video. She doesn't do video. So see, now she's gonna be pissed that I'm saying this, that I'm talking about her. But anyway, so growthexperts with a Z.com. And anybody needs free advice, hit me up. I'd love to help and give back. But Ian, dude, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. Yeah, and there's a bunch of people that want to talk with me, so I got to go.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on, Andrew. I appreciate it, man.
No problem, man.